The wind whistled through the towering redwoods of the Santa Cruz Mountains, rattling the moss-covered windows of my cozy cabin as I, Aria Bennett, carefully packed the last of my handwritten songbooks into a pine crate. It was November 24, 2025, my 35th birthday, and the overcast sky outside reflected the quiet dread in my chest. For weeks, I'd poured my heart into crafting gifts for my family's Thanksgiving reunion, a leather-bound lyric journal for my mother, filled with melodies she'd inspired, a framed guitar chord chart for my father, a nod to his old folk tunes, and a custom ukulele for my younger brother, Theo, tuned to his favorite island rhythms, a tribute to our shared childhood. The phone rang at 4:50 p.m., my mother's name lighting up the screen. I answered, ink-stained hands trembling, expecting her usual barrage about the feast or seating. Instead, her voice was frigid, detached, like a judge passing sentence. "Arya, we've determined it's best if you skip Thanksgiving this year." A clink of glass and Theo's laugh, cruel, mocking, and edged with disdain, cut through the line. "No hard feelings, Ari, but it's just less chaotic without your musical brooding. You get it, yeah?" Dad's voice rumbled faintly, a reluctant hum of agreement. Mom continued, her tone clipped. "It's not about you, dear. We're aiming for a harmonious holiday." Harmonious, as if I were a discord to be silenced, not a daughter, I thought, my grip tightening on the crate, the wood groaning, a faint crack splintering the lid. "Why?" I whispered, my voice a fragile note against the wind's howl. A pause stretched, thick and intentional, then Mom said, "We'll address it after the new year." And the call ended with a cold click. I stood there, the phone still warm against my ear, the unwrapped gifts glaring back like silent indictments, the journal's lyrics a cruel irony, the chord chart a tribute to a father who'd turned away. No tears came, just a hollow silence, as if the wind had drained the melody from my soul. I shoved the crate into a shadowed corner beside unused sheet music and ribbon rolls, locking away the proof of my banishment. The question wasn't why they'd done it, but what they'd resolved about me long before that call, a judgment composed over years of neglect. I grew up in a rustic cedar chalet in Santa Cruz, California, where the redwood scent mingled with the aroma of my mother's eucalyptus candles and Dad's brewing coffee. Mom, Eleanor Bennett, managed a coastal art gallery, her charisma drawing collectors like moths to a flame. Dad, Marcus Bennett, taught music theory at the community college, his guitar riffs filling our home with warmth. Theo, 7 years younger, was the blazing star, sun-bleached hair catching the light, a magnetic charm that turned beach jam sessions into local legends, and a knack for turning flops into tales of creative risk. I was Aria, the quiet one, who wrote songs in the loft, organized the cluttered studio, and dreamed of studying music composition at Berklee College of Music. The favoritism began early, subtle, but unyielding. Theo's D in algebra earned a surfing lesson with Dad. My A in music theory got a distracted, "nice work, keep at it." When he broke Mom's antique vase, they laughed about his artistic flair and bought him a new surfboard. When I won a statewide songwriting contest at 19, Mom said, "That's lovely, Aria, but don't let it pull you from practical goals." I left for community college at 20, funding it with scholarships and gigging at open mics, later enrolling in Berklee's online program while working as a studio assistant. Thea stayed home, drifting through surf coaching, barista shifts, and now a sustainable music vlog with opaque funding. I never envied his radiance. I cherished his energy, seeing it as a harmony to my stillness. I drove home for his 25th birthday, planned a beach concert, covered the sound equipment when Mom forgot, and composed him a song as a gift. I sent Dad vintage vinyls, helped Mom with gallery accounts during storms, stayed up late editing Theo's vlog intros. But their holiday cards read, "Theo's Rocking Greenwave Vlog." Area's busy in Santa Cruz. Last summer, Theo called, panicked about a failed vlog sponsorship deal. I wired him $3,200, no questions, and he called me his melody maker. Then, on my birthday, he laughed and said, "Less chaotic without your tunes." A week later, I scrolled Instagram, seeking comfort, and found their Thanksgiving post. The familiar redwood table, mom's pinecone centerpiece, dad's sage napkins, except I was gone. In my place stood Luna Rivera, a vibrant travel vlogger with a forest lodge and a massive following. She posed with Theo, arms linked, mom beaming beside them. The caption read, "Thankful for our new harmony this season." More photos followed, Luna jamming with dad, toasting with mom, dancing with Theo by the fire. My absence wasn't just a gap, it was filled, curated, and broadcast for all to see. I checked our family chat, deleted, not muted, erased, as if I'd never sung. Old photos on mom's profile, my 30th birthday, dad's 70th, remained, but I was untagged, a ghost in my own chorus. I called Aunt Miriam, dad's sister, who'd always tuned my guitar. Her voice quaked. "Aria, dear, I thought you were on a music tour. That's what Eleanor said." I didn't argue. The truth crashed like a wave, heavier than her excuse. I hung up, staring at the bare wall where our last family photo had hung. Me, Theo, and Dad at the coast, removed months ago, my heart sensing the rift before my mind grasped it. I didn't post, didn't text, didn't race to Santa Cruz to demand answers. Friends invited me to their Thanksgivings. I declined with a tight smile, unwilling to borrow their rhythm. My coworker, Mia, offered to crash their dinner with a guitar, to strike a chord. I laughed, but said, "No discord needed. Just watch me rise." I packed away the holiday decor. String lights with shellfish, a carved music note I'd made at 13, handling each piece like a fragile memory of a lost harmony. The gifts stayed buried in the crate. On Thanksgiving, I brewed a solitary cup of sage tea with honey, sat by my window, and watched snow dust the redwoods, the silence a defiant refrain. No music, no calls, just the hearth's soft crackle and my steady breath. A rebellion in quietness. I hiked the trails later, boots crunching snow, watching families gather around campfires, their songs a contrast to my solitude. The world was festive, but I was unshackled, free from their tune. In mid-December, a letter arrived, not from Santa Cruz, but from Carmel by the Sea, California. A thick vellum envelope bore the crest of Hawthorne and Cole, attorneys at law. Expecting a debt notice, I opened it with hesitation. "Dear Miss Aria Bennett, as executor of the estate of Josephine Bennett, your presence is requested regarding inheritance matters. Grandma Josephine, my father's mother, whom I thought had passed 10 years ago after a murmured illness." I dialed the number, hands shaking. "Miss Bennett," said a calm voice. "Attorney Daniel Hawthorne. Josephine passed on November 11th, 2025. I regret you weren't notified." My breath caught. "This year?" My family said. Hawthorne's tone softened. "Come to Carmel. There's more to this tale." 2 days later, I sat in his sunlit office, the Pacific's waves glinting beyond. He handed me a death certificate. Josephine Bennett, November 11th, 2025, and an obituary from the Carmel Pinecone listing Eleanor, Marcus, Theo, but omitting me. "Why wasn't I told?" I asked, voice breaking. Hawthorne slid a velvet-bound will across the desk. "Josephine insisted you be contacted directly. She distrusted your family's motives." The will granted me everything: her Carmel estate with its music room, a $7.8 million investment portfolio, her song collection, and a studio filled with her unfinished compositions. Theo received $35,000. My parents, a tarnished harmonica. A USB drive held a video dated May 2024. Josephine appeared, frail but fierce, her gray eyes piercing the camera. "Aria, my lyrical heart," she began, her voice a resonant chord. "If you're watching, I'm gone, and your family likely concealed it. I was your symphony, your voice crafting beauty, your quiet strength amid their disregard. Your parents leaned on me for Theo's vlog, took loans against my home without consent, pressured me to fund his projects. I forgave, but I sheltered you. This is yours. Compose your future." A second video showed financial records, loan agreements, her voice steady. "They siphoned my trust. Aria never did. She forged her own melody." I sat, stunned, the room tilting. They hadn't just excluded me from Thanksgiving. They'd buried her death, her funeral, her love, silencing my note in their score. Hawthorne rested a hand on mine. "Josephine chose you for your authenticity." That was the deepest wound. Not the wealth, but the betrayal, a dissonant chord exposed. I agreed to meet them at a Santa Cruz cafe, neutral ground, not for harmony, but to see their masks fall. I arrived early, claiming a booth by the snow-dusted window, the storm outside a silent witness. Mom looked fragile, her coat drawn tight, hands twisting a scarf. Dad's shoulders slumped, his glasses fogged with tension. Theo swaggered in, wool coat gleaming, his smirk fading under my unyielding gaze. They began with small talk, weather, the drive. Then Mom shifted, her voice brittle. "Aria, there's a glitch with Josephine's estate. She was frail those last years." Theo leaned back, smirking. "She loved me most. That will's a mistake." Dad murmured, "We could share it fairly, keep the estate in the family." I leaned in, voice low and firm, each word a struck note. "Josephine saw you borrow against her home, hide her death, erase me from her life. She chose me because I earned my way, unlike you." Mom recoiled, her hands shaking. Theo's fists clenched, his bravado cracking. Dad stared at his cold coffee, his silence a confession. "Aria, don't be bitter," Mom pleaded, her voice fracturing. I rose, towering over them. Bitter was letting me think she'd been gone 10 years. Bitter was Thanksgiving without me, replacing me with Luna. Theo snapped, "You're no sister if you take this." I met his eyes, icy and resolute. "You chose that when you mocked me." I walked out. Their protests, Mom's choked sobs, Dad's stammered pleas, Theo's angry shouts fading into the blizzard. Texts flooded in. Dad's, "We're still your blood." Mom's, "You're breaking us." Theo's, "This is spiteful." I deleted them all. The anger melted into clarity, like a rain sunrise over the redwoods. I sold Josephine's investments, kept the estate, and moved to Carmel. The house smelled of her cedar, old sheet music, and untapped potential. I transformed her music room into Bennett Melodies, my studio, its walls lined with her compositions and my new songs. My first project was a soundtrack for a nature documentary, the second, a lullaby for a children's hospice, each note honoring Josephine's vision. I hired Mia as my music director, her lively spirit balancing me, and we built a creative team. At night, I composed Josephine's unfinished ballads, her voice a whisper in my mind. "Create, Aria. Sing your truth." This Thanksgiving, I hosted in my estate, not in Santa Cruz, but a new sanctuary. Mia brought gingerbread, her family's recipe. Neighbor Carlos brought tamales, his spices warming the air. Friends, singers, poets, a tapestry of souls filled the table with laughter, eclectic dishes, and stories. No turkey, just lanterns casting a warm glow, a harp trio playing softly, the windows fogging with life. I placed Josephine's photo on the mantel, Us at her piano, both smiling, no one else in frame. A silent testament to her choice. Theo emailed, demanding his $35,000, his tone entitled. I forwarded it to Hawthorne, who issued a legal notice. Mom sent a tearful letter pleading for family unity. I left it sealed. Dad called, leaving a voicemail of silence, a plea without resolve. I didn't need their redemption. Bennett Melodies thrived. 20 commissions in the first month, then 35, a national grant for a community orchestra. The estate's cedar door now bore a brass plaque, Aria Bennett, songwriter. Josephine's legacy wasn't just riches. It was proof I'd always been enough, a melody they couldn't mute. They thought they'd silenced my song, but I composed a symphony they'd never join. As I write this, on July 6th, 2025, at 2:12 p.m., the estate resonates with the strum of guitars and the hum of my team, a family I've chosen. They thought my birthday ban was their victory, but it was my revival. If you've been silently replaced, drop one word below.